worried that you might be the cool kid? You wear the latest fashions on top of all the trends. Or have you ever worried you were too much in the mainstream? Always so generic, more normal than your friends. Well, we've devised a test to put to rest your fears. There's no need to panic if you lend us your ears. Tonight you can't sleep easy after all that you've heard. Cause if you like the show, then you're probably a nerd. Oh, Canon, it's Canon, it's all. Tyler, Phil, and Boris. Oh, Canon, it's Canon, it's all in Canon.
It's Sunday. You know what that means? It means that it's a new episode of the It's Canon podcast. Thank you for listening. Thank you for subscribing. Thank you for tuning in and giving us a download. That's right. As always, we are your hosts. I'm Boris, and this week I am joined by Phil.
Hello, nurse.
And Tyler.
Oh my god, that took me back. Hello, nurse. Like, why are we getting more Animaniacs?
Well, in November,
you know,
you'll be able to watch more on Hulu. Can't wait for that. That's right. So, guys, it's a new week. Tons to talk about this week. So this is our news episode where we're going to spend the next 90 minutes or so talking all things news. We're going to be talking all things comics, all things movies, all things toys, all things video games, all things everything. And you know what the best part of it all is?
I heard that it's in Canon.
That's right. It's all in Canon. Guys, it's been a hell of a week. Been a fun week. Been a busy week. But I'm so thankful that we're finally recording a news episode together again.
Oh yeah, it's been a bit, hasn't it?
Yep, this would be 3 weeks to the day. And here we are.
But Bananarama.
Here's something that you shouldn't do when you're in a group of people. Let me tell you this. Never question or, that's for lack of a better term, question whether person A or person B or person C actually listen to the show. Because you're going to be shocked about the responses. And then you're going to get stuff thrown back at you about the show. Life lesson, guys.
What happened?
Life lessons.
What happened?
Who did you piss off? was Todd there?
Fucking Todd. Hey, Todd. How's it going? Hopefully you've had a good week in Tennessee. Guys, it's been a while. So we're going to do a round table. Phil, how's everything? How's the life of Phil?
It's good, you know. Catching up on Lego. Catching up on collections. A lot of Star Wars. I'm living the Star Wars life right now. And Animal Crossing. Like, what can I say?
So here's the thing. It's been a while. Phil, what is new and exciting in the world of Animal Crossing?
Nothing. It never changes. Saturday, The dog shows up, plays a concert. I get annoyed. That's about it.
You send me screenshots with hilarious captions.
Well, they all come to me, and they want me to name myself or give them, like, these little catchphrases. So I don't know what Nintendo look at or don't, but I suggested that they call me Bumplug. And it's caught on for the whole island now. So everybody's calling me Bumplug. And the one tiger guy, I gave him a catchphrase, a Jizzy Jazz Sticky Spaz or something. So he combines all these words into sentences. and they're really gross and odd. And they come up to me randomly and they'll go, "Hey, bum plug, how's it going?" I also installed toilets all around the island, and the people use them because they're there.
I love it. I love it.
So you got to find your sense of humor with the game.
Yeah, clearly. Here's something. So I was scrolling, seeing what's going on, and I think, you know how in the past, Phil, you and I have always talked about the reason why I don't collect anymore, especially why I don't want to go near Lego. Just, I don't have the space, I don't have the room, I don't have the patience in case something happens to all of my belongings again. But I think I found the next Lego set that I'm going to buy.
Oh,
And
I
it's-
think it hangs on the wall.
Yes. Well, it could. So it's the 2,363 piece Batwing from Tim Burton's 1989 Batman.
Yeah, it looks like a good set, man.
I want it so badly.
I think it's November 1st.
Happy early birthday to Boris, indeed. I want it.
Yeah.
I'm going to get it.
That's a good set. I actually follow the designer of that one on Twitter, and he said that was the challenge given to him 3 years ago. Was they asked him to make a Lego set that you could hang on the wall.
Cool. That's
So-
beautiful.
Bippity boo! You can hang a Lego set on the wall now.
Yep, there you go. Here's another thing that came up in this conversation that I just remembered. Apparently, I love how you guys are like, Boris, just shut up and let it go. Apparently,
I know this. I'm ready.
apparently, I have a podcasting voice.
Yes. Did you not know?
I don't.
Yeah.
I don't. Thanks, guys. I should have. Thanks for the backup.
Sure you do. What do you want us to say? You don't?
I don't think I do. I don't talk like, yeah, I add pauses and things like that, but I don't have like a podcast voice.
Sure you do. So does Tyler.
So, Boris.
Come on. It's your voice. It's a good one, and you kind of add that dramatic opening, and you sound like you're introducing a wrestling match or something. You kind of got that panache today. You're a little low key, but some days you come in screeching, man. It's like the dude with the let's get ready to rumble guy.
Let's get ready to humble.
Oh, this next conversation is just gonna go ass backwards for me. Oh, thanks, guys. Anyways, Tyler, what's new in the world of Tyler?
So it's been a good week. I'm back to full time, and like a bunch of money that I have been chasing and after for ages from clients that owed me money all came in this week. So it was one of those weeks of like, glad I'm back to full time anyways, because this could put a problem in my CERB. But yeah, I got a bunch of money this week, so the wife and I are looking at getting some long put off purchases done. We sold a car, so we've downsized to just one car. So yeah, we're just doing great over here. In addition, I did possibly the unthinkable, and I canceled my Disney Plus subscription.
Oh.
Whoa.
Yeah, I'm out. I'm out.
He's out. He's
They
out.
might get me back, but I'm out.
He's out, guys.
Wow.
He's out.
Yeah, just sign
Also-
up with a
also
different
canceled-
email address later.
Also canceled Audible. Also canceled some other like recurring stuff. Feel free.
Audible.
That's good.
Before
Here's I personally have no issues with Audible. I love Audible, love their company, and now you can find the It's Canon podcast on Amazon Music.
Oh no, I love Audible. The issue I have right now is I have 275 audiobooks on Audible because I've had it for like 9 years.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I just need a break. I need to get through some of this back catalog.
Yeah.
Because, and again, this sounds like a bit of a sales for Audible, but like your Audible credit once per month is for anything. So I have a couple of like 80-hour books in there.
Yep.
Like if you get Jerusalem by Alan Moore, that's 60 hours. If you get The Rise and Fall of the Roman Empire, that's 180 hours.
Yeah.
Wow. No, I've got the same problem actually. I periodically like hold my Audible because
Mhm.
I've just got like, especially now that I'm not commuting.
Yeah.
So that used to be my primary consume time for books and things like that. Now it feels like I have to dedicate time to listen to a book, and you just don't do it. And man, oh man, the titles rack up. I've probably got a similar amount.
They just keep coming, and they don't stop coming. I mean, to the credit of Audible, like you just pause it and they go cool, and you can come back whenever, which is just like, that's a delight.
Yeah, I also know this may be a life hack, and considering our new overlords at Amazon, but one thing that I've done is I've just said, look, it's just too much. I don't really want to spend $15 a month right now. It's just something, you go through that purge, and then they go, well, how about we give you a couple credits for free, and we'll reduce the price to $7 a month for like 6 months.
Yeah.
I'm like, okay, deal.
Yeah.
Yeah, makes
It's
sense.
funny, their little algorithm and how it kind of tries to retain you, right? The retention.
Knows.
Yeah.
It knows. Yeah. I mean, yeah. We used to have a meat subscription, and I canceled that because I have a place called Meat Terminal now.
Yeah.
Which I love. It's just feeling good.
That's awesome.
I will say that if you have some extra money right now is the time to buy stuff though, because everyone is like in a panic. I think that most retailers have gotten word from up on high, if you're part of a big chain, that Lockdown 2 Electric Boogaloo is coming. Because I was at Best Buy today, and I was looking at a TV stand, and the guy goes like, I can get you the one up from that for 30% off. And I was like, no, I'm good. He's like, for 40% off. And I was like, I need to go because you're starting to freak me out.
Yeah, it's crazy. I've noticed on my Facebook and other social media feeds where people are now starting to talk about, the hysteria buying the mass purchases at grocery stores.
Oh,
It's starting to feel like we're in February, March again. It's inevitable that we will be in some form of a lockdown. Unfortunately, politics and business is going to take over, so it'll be interesting to see what this second lockdown is. But yeah, a lot of stores are prepping. I've noticed this myself, so it'll be interesting to see where we end up in a little bit.
I can say this. Toys R Us has an excellent selection of Star Wars stuff.
I told
It's
you.
like nobody's buying toys, man.
Bill, and I told you, it's insane how Toys R Us has ended up with a lot of these American exclusives. So, like, not
big
only is Toys R Us still in Canada, but they're the ones who are actually supplying us with all these, Target exclusives, whatever, con exclusives and things like that.
Yeah, I got an exclusive Cara Dune pop figure. I got an exclusive, my big Boba Fett replica helmet, the Black Series. They actually made one that's only carried at Toys R Us, or it's an exclusive, limited edition of the prototype helmet. So it's all white.
Yeah.
So it's really nice looking. It's really nice. So make sure to, before the second lockdown comes into effect, make sure to go out and check out your geek stuff that you might want to put your helmet on instead of a mask or something. I don't know.
Exactly. Phil, you brought up one thing, and that's actually something that I'm trying to find numbers on, because it's something I want to talk about in a little more detail. But we'll bring it up. And that's, you don't consume a lot of your audiobooks anymore because you don't have a commute anymore. So This is hurting a lot of, I guess, audio media. Even podcast numbers are starting to go down. I've gotten emails from I've heard from friends that I know listen to this show, and thank you. And I've gotten some emails from listeners, thank you also. And they've said, hey, we're a few episodes behind, blah, 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 but I love what you're doing. Like I said, I've talked to some friends face to face, and they're like, hey, I'm a few episodes behind. Talked to another friend, and he's like, I used to commute 3 hours a day, so listening to your show was super easy. But now that I don't, I don't have the chance, and I listen to it in small like s- like um like smaller
Snippets.
increments. Yeah. So, it's just it's something fascinating for me to actually see happening. And our numbers have been consistent. They haven't been consistent to when Tyler and I were running the show a few years ago. Uh, but I know that I have to rebuild the audience. I know that some people who used to listen to us are starting to come back. Um, but I've seen consistency, but then also remember that we restarted the show in the middle of the last lockdown, so I can't use our numbers as a good baseline for this. uh what do you think about that, Tyler?
I 100% see it. I mean, it's across the board. We're seeing this drastic change in consumption patterns. I also been doing a thing called Dragon Action News, which is just short little, mostly funny clips for the store I'm running. And one of them was we talked about changing consumption patterns, and that like even as economies have opened up, television watching is bananas up across the board. Television here, including like Netflix and your various streaming services, and movie consumption across states, like the same streaming services, is not making up for that loss from theaters not being there. So we're seeing like a drastic reshaping in how people are consuming media of all kinds. I wouldn't be surprised to also find out that YouTube numbers are bananas up, because I know, if you're just around the house and you're doing some working or whatever, and you don't really need to pay, like if you're doing data entry, you can put on a video or something. So I'd be interested, but yeah, across the board, people are changing their consumption patterns, and that's just going to be part of this. And I don't think it's going to go back entirely. I think that podcasts are going to get rejiggered. I mean, I think a lot of people are going to start doing what we do at this household here, and that's you have it on while doing chores.
Yeah. I see that too. I think there's it's just planning to make time for it. For me, driving a car and listening to a podcast or a book is just natural. I'm able to multitask that. But if I'm doing my work at my desk, it's easy to put on a podcast in the open air and have it play in the background if I know I don't have to be on a call or something. But it's much more of a dedication if I put headphones on. Then I feel like I have to listen. You know what I mean? Like I feel very committed at that point. So I think consumption habits will change. I think they have been changing, obviously, because the reverse is true too, where to what Boris was saying. And that is that people are listening to a lot of podcasts more and more as they run out of television shows to watch. As that wall on Netflix is there where you feel like you've seen it all, despite the fact that they launch like 70 titles a month right now. But there's a lot of people who want original content, and I thank them for listening.
Yeah.
Oh, totally.
The other thing that I've actually noticed as well is, myself, and these are my habits. I haven't been giving new podcasts an opportunity. Like the podcast so I don't listen to any geek podcasts anymore. I don't want to be influenced or copy anything or whatever. So I try to avoid geek and geek world podcasts nowadays for the most part. But I haven't really given a new podcast an opportunity to come to the roster. Just because, like, I have the podcast that I listen to. I don't have the time that I used to have. Like, I'm not in planes. I'm not in trains, planes, and automobiles anymore. So for me, like, I just have a limited time now, and the podcast roster that I have right now is the podcast roster. So I haven't really been giving new podcasts an opportunity. So, if other people even come close to kind of like the habits that I do, I'm fairly happy with how even this show is doing, and it makes me actually appreciate everyone tuning in, listening, giving feedback, whether positive or negative, a lot more. Like, I really do thank everyone, especially now when the world is burning outside, quite literally. that they listen to, Phil, Boris, and Tyler muse about geek and geek bullshit, which at the grand scheme of things is meaningless in life, but it is entertainment, and I feel like entertainment is something that we all need right now.
Yeah. The feedback that I get from a lot of friends who listen to the show and some sporadic fans and whatnot is that they're out of their podcast roster. They're really getting tired of some of the big trends, and that is a lot of politics that they're listening to, and they want to get away from that. And then the true crime stuff, because it just seemed like that was a tsunami of podcast type, and there's good and bad with everything. And they seem to give me feedback anyhow that they like that we're an informal kind of chat with friends, that type of thing about stuff that they don't really have to be too like sweating their brow over. So, it's great.
Yeah, I think on that, the ones that are going to be doing really well, I'm predicting here, is that the ones that are like the scripted audio dramas.
Yes.
Mhm.
Whether it's through Welcome to Night Vale or whatever, I think those are going to do really well, especially when they've kind of got that weird approach to them. Coming back really soon is season 3 of BBC's Lovecraft adaptations, and I think with Lovecraft Country on the Air, like that's going to hit in October like a ton of bricks, and I've already been re-listening for it. So, but I still drive.
Yep. The other thing, and this is something that I've even considered, just thinking about timing. And I know that people have pause buttons, but, would someone be more willing to listen to a podcast in 15-minute spurts as opposed to, like what we have our 90-minute episode?
I think it depends on the customer, because personally, I hate 15-minute bits.
Yeah.
But I'm driving, right? So 15-minute bits means when I'm driving, I all of a sudden have to be like, stop. Let's deal with this. Okay, now I gotta like.
Yeah. Wow. A lot of people listen to us at 1.5. They speed through so they don't have to listen for the full 90, because apparently we speak slow enough that they can do that.
Yep. That's actually one of the reasons why sometimes. Okay, I do have a podcast voice. Fuck.
You got it.
I was gonna say that's why sometimes I do slow down the conversation. I even stop myself sometimes because, like, naturally, I'm a fast talker. So I do have to actually think about when we're doing the show to slow down, because I know that oftentimes people do, do the 1.5. And I've listened to podcasts in 1.5, and sometimes it's inaudible what's going on the other side because it's just too much going on. And this is why, like, it's my biggest pet peeve is when hosts start talking over one another, because in 1.5 that just becomes impossible to follow. But here we are. So one thing that I did notice, one thing I did notice, I got the email, and I just wanted to formally announce, even though the service is not available in Canada just yet, we have been approved, and we are up on Amazon. So a few months ago, we got an email saying, hey, you've been chosen as one of the podcasts that we would like to have on our feed. Go through this and sign away your life. And I was a little hesitant at first, because they did have a clause saying that you are not allowed to disparage and speak ill of Amazon and any Amazon subsidiary or else.
Sure.
So there was a lot of negative feedback coming from a lot of podcast hosts. There's a message board that I found of a bunch of podcast hosts, and people were just livid, angry. And long story short, within like 48 hours, Amazon said, mea culpa, we'll remove that. Carry on.
Good.
So you can now find us for our American, UK, and I forget where else. You can now find us on Amazon. So there you go.
That's pretty cool.
Yep. So let's talk about double standards, because this is a news item that bothered me a little bit this week. Just because of the optics of everything and where the world is at. It bothered me on in a very fundamental core level, just because it's kind of funny about how double standards work, and I think you guys know where I'm going with this. Do you guys hear my Discord going off and off and off?
I think I just heard it.
Okay. Anyways, so what I wanted to talk about was Chris Evans and his Mea Culpa from earlier this week. So, earlier in the week, I don't even remember what day it was, Chris Evans, by accident, on Instagram, posted a picture that was a little more revealing than Instagram should allow. And right away, everyone was like, oh, that's okay. Chris Evans is awesome. There's nothing wrong with a little male nudity. He's awesome. Look at him with all these pets. Look at how great he is. Look at how fantastic of a person he is.
What was this picture? Was he naked with dogs? Like, what are you talking about?
I don't even know.
No, Boris is saying separately that he's been he's been accepted.
Yeah.
Okay.
The photo was kind of thing you would send to one other person who you were interested in seeing naked in the near future, and you were of the understanding that they were interested in seeing you naked in the near future.
Yep.
Jeez.
So he sent a schlong shot of himself, but instead of using the DM feature, he posted it on his main feed. And then, again, the reaction was, oh, it's okay. People make mistakes. Shit happens. And then the internet and Reddit started posting pictures of him with pets. Look how great of a person he is. This is an outstanding guy. And I'm just looking at all this, like the feedback, not the picture. And and I'm like, and I'm thinking, this world has gone mad, because how many times do women have their pictures stolen from God knows where, posted on the internet, and they are slut shamed? They are called whores. They're called idiots. They're called morons. It's their fault for even taking these pictures. It really just pissed me off. And these double standards.
Jennifer Lawrence comes to mind.
Sorry?
Yeah.
Jennifer Lawrence comes to mind.
All of the quote-unquote hashtag fappening phenomena that happened back in 2014, they were all slut-shamed, called idiots, called morons. No, or very few people actually defended all these women who literally had their personal property stolen. But yet here's a guy who by accident, wanted to send a picture to someone, posted it in a public forum, and it's like, oh, it's all cool, man. People make mistakes. What do you think of this, Phil?
I mean, the response to Chris Evans, and especially the willingness for a lot of people to help drown out what happened in internet noise, is what I wish the default response was to this kind of mistake, right? That's what I think should have happened. Of any time someone makes that own stupid mistake and they did it, the targeting of women before for the fappening and shit was insane.
Yep.
Yeah.
For how many people, I was listening to a podcast this morning talking about the obsession people have with stopping child pornography and child sex trafficking, when the situation is not nearly as bad as the average person believes, compared to actual crimes that they underestimate the impact of, is mind-boggling.
Yep. It's crazy.
Mind-boggling.
It is mind-boggling. Phil, anything to say?
I saw a little bit of nothing of the actual picture. I saw a little bit of the internet noise about it, and I just went back to building my Razor Crest. I was just like, Chris Evans, penis. I don't want any part of that. And it's just funny to me, the whole celebrity aspect of it, though, I guess.
Yeah.
That celebrities even contemplate engaging in that type of behavior. Like, you know what I mean? Can you imagine, like, let's just extract the fact that he put it out there to be consumed or, by accident, whatever. And I agree with you about the double standard. It's not fair to women or any of that fapping and crap. I get it. I'm politically on side with all that. I just can't believe that Chris Evans is Chris Evans and he's got to send a D-pic to some girl.
America schlong.
Like holy crap! Like that's Captain America's butt, Like, I don't know.
I get where you're coming from. On that point, Chris Evans is a bit notorious for when he's not doing the marketing thing, he does everything he can to not be part of the Hollywood lifestyle.
Yeah.
Okay.
Like he lives out with his family in the middle of nowhere, and he has said it is very important to him that he goes to his family because they don't treat him like Captain America. They treat him like, oh, it's Chris. Remember, Chris used to lisp when he was a kid.
Mm-hmm.
And it's oh, Chris has that weird thing where he says, I don't like it. Because he's had that since he was a kid. And he says that's really important for him to be grounded. And now that Chris Evans says, I don't like it, you'll find it in his videos. And he says during other things, and it's hilarious. Because someone will ask him a question on the Captain America media tours, and he'll just go okay, so
yeah, I have no idea what the guy's like. That's good insight as to, you don't know because he can play the egotistical asshole really well.
Yep.
So it's difficult to figure out who the real Chris Evans is. It's difficult to figure out who any real, I guess, celebrity is. It's
Phil,
challenging.
To that point, in my mind, Chris Evans is his character in Knives Out, which is probably the total opposite of how he really is. But in my mind, that's how I picture every celebrity.
Yeah, and the Scott Pilgrim Chris Evans. You know what I mean? I get this he's letting out on those movies. So that was my impression of him. But good for him. He sounds like a nice guy. It's too bad he posted a picture of his dingus for all of us. But yeah, I think people have got to walk it back and dial down the hate towards the women and whatnot who maybe make the same mistakes, or I don't condone anybody going out there and raiding or hacking shit to get those private pictures, but everybody just be careful.
Yep. All right, so 9 days ago, I did something, guys. I watched the movie at home from Disney.
Whoa. I know what this is.
I watched Milan. So, to give our awesome listeners a little bit of background, when I was younger, I'm sure I watched bits and pieces of the cartoon, but I know as a fact I never watched it from beginning to end. So, last Friday, that's exactly what I did, is I watched the animated version of Milan first, and then I watched, I know, and then I watched the live action 2020 version with Fat Jet Li, and yeah.
What are you doing with your life?
Accosting friends, annoying people, using my podcast voice. That's clearly all I'm doing with my life right now.
Oh, man. And how was it, Boris?
So, for the past several days, I've been thinking about what could I say about Mulan. And when you're a kid and people tell you if you have nothing nice to say, don't say anything at all.
Mm-hmm.
I'm sticking to that.
Is that for both Mulans?
No. Whoa.
New one.
Take a step back. Animated.
Yeah, sorry, I
loved it.
Cool.
Fucking loved it. I enjoyed it. I felt like singing and dancing away to some Vanessa Williams music.
Yep.
It was great. I loved it.
Yeah.
New one.
Cool.
Let's and right now let's take away from any political stuff around that movie. Like let's not even touch that right now. Just from a movie point of view,
What's a bad movie?
it's a not good movie. Um, it's trying to be Crouching Tiger, Hidden Dragon meets Disney meets I don't even know what. It's trying to be too much at once. It's not anything of substance, and it misses a lot of the marks because, a lot of these Disney movies, here's the thing. They could have called the movie, Girl Who Dresses as Boy, Girl Who Goes to War, and it probably would have done better. But the fact that it got the Mulan moniker, I think hurt it a lot more because people with these Disney adaptations have a preconceived idea of what the movie is going to be like. But this movie almost felt like an entirely different experience, entirely different movie, and it just wasn't Mulan. And you have to remember, like, I had zero going into this. Like, there was no nostalgia. Like, I had 10-minute nostalgia moving from movie to movie, right? So it wasn't of, and I felt a little disappointed. So I can only imagine lifelong fans and kids and people who have been waiting for this movie since March to watch it, ponying up $35 Canadian, 30 American for this movie and thinking, wow, what did I just watch?
Yeah.
We have a friend of the show, Got a Minute Reviews, and that's James. And he basically, he started back up and he does these reviews on Instagram and on YouTube where he reviews a movie in 1 minute. And that's what basically he came to a very similar conclusion. And I valued that and avoided it. That's all I can say about it. I feel bad for the fans, yeah, because it's clearly a different product than the original was. I hear they skip over vast parts, like a lot of stuff happens very quickly, and then like seemingly nothing happens for a long time. It's just not a well-paced movie. It's not very forgiving for the audience to try and be in that world and engage properly. It just sounds like another Disney, boardroom disaster.
Gotta. You're Disney, you gotta have another boardroom disaster. What are you gonna do? Not do it? You gotta.
It makes me worry about stuff like Black Widow and
Oh my god.
a lot of the other properties.
I've been saying this since Age of Ultron, that Disney's meddling is going to be the end of this like amazing Disney run that we've seen. Because Disney, for the longest time, could do no wrong. And then The Last Jedi came out. And now, since then, I feel it's like, what can Disney do right?
Yeah, it really is on them now. Like it's Jared Leto and Tron 3. Like the stink is thick.
Yeah, no, like it's just crazy that it's, I feel it's their meddling. Disney obviously wants to control every aspect of it, and it's gotten to the point, and like I used to say with Tyler and Kyle back in 2015, is that, for example, the Marvel Cinematic Universe, Marvel Studio movies, we had a streak of a few movies, Avengers 2, Ant-Man, where creative differences with directors sometimes led to major changes in the movie, sometimes led to the directors leaving, and it's because Disney just wants they need to control every aspect of these movies, so they're not allowing the creatives to be creative anymore. And it's obviously hurting them. We saw it, Lord and Miller and Solo. We've clearly seen it with, Last Jedi is a bit of a different one because it was just meddling on every aspect from it. You know, from Kathleen Kennedy to Ryan Johnson to J.J. Abrams laughing in a corner somewhere. You know, Disney needs to just allow the creatives to be creative. And with this, here's a beautiful segue. Daisy really, what has she been saying? You know, for the longest time, Disney has been trying to sell us on the fact that the Palpatine lineage,
Oh yeah.
you know, it was always there, guys. We've been planning this since day one. Little did they think that, you know, once contracts start ending and people start turning around and saying, listen, this is what actually happened. You know? So it just goes to show the dysfunction that is Disney right now. And it's absolutely terrifying that, again, like all of these properties that we hold near and dear to our hearts are just being so mismanaged to the point of near destruction. And I'm not trying to paint like a horrible picture, but let's be honest. Star Wars in 2020 is in a much worse position than Star Wars in 2005 after the last trilogy ended.
Yep. It's tough, you know, like we have the TV stuff, obviously. There's hope, but we hear the rumors on that.
Hey, Phil. Would some say it's a new hope?
It is a new hope because I think that the show wasn't expected to do as well as it's done. You know, they cleaned up some Emmys yesterday. It seems like the only wellspring of goodwill in the Star Wars universe right now. And you know, I don't know where they're going in the movie, in the cinematic end, but it's a good idea that they take a break. And I know that's what they're doing, but I also worry about Disney when they do take these breaks, that they overthink stuff and then they attack it wrong. If they, you know, they get anything wrong, they got The Force Awakens right. And then it just went downhill from there.
Well, I don't know if I'd go as far as Boris did, as saying that it's in a worse spot now than at the end of the prequel trilogy. Because I think that we have a lot of us looking back at the prequel times with some nostalgia goggles of our own right now. Because I remember people hating it back then. And you didn't have The Mandalorian, or you didn't have Rebels or Clone Wars to soak that pain. You didn't have Fallen Order, which even if you didn't like it, like is a decently reviewed game. It had good sales.
Yep.
And they're obviously making a sequel for it.
Yep. And we have that new Squadron game too.
Which, other than the microtransactions, looks interesting. It's got a good price point.
Yeah. It's got VR.
Yeah, right? I don't know if I'd go as far as saying that we're in a worse place than we were. I think that to their credit, Disney's not doing as bad as they were. I think we're also a little bit warped by how bizarre the online noise machine is.
Yeah, you're right.
Right? Because you know, what is it? The kid who played young Anakin quit acting.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
That killed careers for people. That trilogy.
Well, you can find Hayden Christensen like at Phil's comic book
no, Toys R Us.
Toys R Us.
Serious. He walks through there. Well, in pandemic world, not so much, but he walks through our mall once every 2 weeks, approximately. He shows up at Toys R Us, and he signs Darth Vader stuff for people. If they buy it and give it to him, he'll sign it for him, take pictures, whatever. He's happy. I don't think he's doing much acting. He does it occasional movie and whatnot. But Tyler's got a good point as well. I you know, here's the thing. We can doom and gloom about Star Wars, right? We can listen to the internet. We can do all that. But I'll tell you right now, this week, I bought the Boba Fett helmet. I bought some of the 40th anniversary 6-inch carded action figures. I found a Luke Skywalker that sells on Amazon for over $60, at Toys R Us for 30. I picked that up. I picked up some Star Wars Funko Pops, and I picked up some Star Wars Lego. Everything I've bought fan-wise, because it's one of those waves where I'm trying to get it before it sells out for Christmas, or the second wave of like what we talked about happens. I just wanted to have this stuff in my stockpile so I can build it, whatever. And all my money went to Star Wars this week. All of my spare cash and anything that I had dog-eared for collection went to Star Wars.
Yeah.
And that goes to Disney, right? They started up their movie rewards this week. They started letting you, they started sending you products again. So I got the Rise of Skywalker official movie poster. It was down to 400 points for a one-day only sale. And I got the Rogue One teaser trailer poster for 1,000. I've just got Disney points that I need to use, and that's how I collect all my theatrical posters. Is I just get Disney to send them to me for free.
Yeah.
So as bad as everything is, man, oh man, they're making some good coin and producing a lot of crap for me.
I guess, this is the difference between, and this is a much larger conversation, fan perception versus creative perception versus, at the end of the day, the dollar signs, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, right.
I know Rise of Skywalker is not a great movie, but I still put it in and watch it because it's the end of it all. And I like the finality of it. Like whenever people come to me and they go, I haven't watched it, I heard it's terrible and all that. I'm like, it's not an Academy Award winning film by any stretch of the imagination. It's got some big problems, and it tried to solve some problems that they perceived the previous director put in there, and Rian, right? Like just what he did. But it's still the end of Star Wars. If you told like 6-year-old me standing there at watching The Empire Strikes Back 40 years ago, if you told me then, like, hey man, when you're 46 or 45, Star Wars is going to release the last movie and it's going to be over and all that, I would have been like, oh man, I'm so happy I get 40 years of this.
Yeah. You're right.
You.
All right.
Even if it's terrible.
Yeah, even if it's terrible. You're
For what
right.
it's worth, I'm trying to pull up something really quick to kind of put a bow on this. I was trying to pull the old diamond numbers for Dark Horse, and my Google foo is failing me. But it is worth noting that, people are reporting that like the Star Wars comics are also selling good.
They really are.
3.3 million total sales in 2019 across all their issues. IGN's even reporting that, the move from there it is from IGN from last year. When Dark Horse owned Star Wars licenses, they would sell 40,000 copies. And Marvel sells 1 million.
Yeah. And it's the only comic book series that I'll read, aside from the Dark Crystal Age of Resistance, is Star Wars. And at one point, I was actually caught up to all canon because I read all the books. I collected the comics digitally. They got my money. They got my $6 or $7 for that digital copy. And I didn't care. I wanted to know, especially the Darth Vader series. Oh, that was a good series.
Yeah.
Still is a pretty good series.
Yeah.
The clever thing of they brought back not Portman. What's her name's character?
Padme.
Yeah, it brought back Padme's double
Oh, nice.
for a nice little run this past year. So it was like Vader dealing with Padme's body double.
Wow. That's got to be a
It was
mind.
a good run. It was a
Yeah,
good
and
run.
there's another guy on YouTube that I watch, Star Wars Theory, and he made a Darth Vader film, and he got in a lot of crap with Lucasfilm. Like,
Well,
he sunk over $100,000 into it
okay.
of his money, and there was a lot of rules that Lucasfilm put on him about him making money off of it. But I strongly encourage everybody go out there, watch it. He's making a second movie now. He's upping his technology game, and go out and support that guy. He's Canadian, by the way. But it was really eye-opening. Some of the fan fiction is fantastic too. Like Star Wars is so prevalent in people's lives. It's truly an amazing thing. That's the last I'll say on it, Boris.
Yeah.
Yep. Cool. All right. So, speaking of relationships, speaking of partner. No, I'm not. No. Speaking of partnerships, here's one that I never thought I would ever see. Oracle and Walmart have created a new company called TikTok Global that will assume TikTok's U.S. operations. So, in the 12th hour, in the final minutes, as TikTok was ready to be banned, or whatever the fuck ban means in the USA, Oracle and Walmart both teamed up to create this new company, and they will assume control of all North American operations. So earlier, overnight, a court ordered that the ban not happen as they were reviewing the possible purchase. And here we are. TikTok's going to Oracle and Walmart.
That's so weird. I don't know. Like, I know my emotions when Tyler had told me Microsoft were teaming up with Walmart to buy it in that first iteration, and my mind was blown that Walmart's even playing in that space.
Yep.
To see them, I don't know. I guess that's been the persistent rumor that Walmart's somehow involved. It's just weird, man. It's so political. It's kids making dance videos and jokes on a video format with music. Like,
yep.
I just, it's hard to get my head around why this is a national crisis. But
I mean, I can tell you why.
Well, I know it's about data and tracking and foreign governments holding stuff, but
even without that, okay. I can tell you why. It has become bananas important for political discourse amongst young Americans and young Canadians. It's been a tool that young people have been using to get awareness on a bunch of issues. My partner watches a bunch of TikToks that are just literally various people explaining an issue in like 30 seconds or less. So it'll be like, why is this? People say this might be racist. Here's the dialogue is. And they go really fast. And in turn, it is leading to people becoming more politically active, and specifically a lot of people who got their backing doing whatever have been calling for direct political activism. Social media's impact on electoral politics has always been a mixed bag. I mean, it ranges from how loud online Bernie or Busters were compared to voter turnout never materialized to what it seemed to be. But if you look over in the Arab Spring, it was incredibly important for raising awareness of issues and for organizing. And it looks like a lot of people are using TikTok to organize politically, which is why even if you put aside the data side of it, it is more than just that. There's even the people doing dances are doing political impacts of it. So, I think it's worth considering that has an impact.
I don't. The thing is, though, it's people's platform to do with as they please. If they want to politicize it, then that's fair. If people are watching it and enjoying it or gaining something out of it, there's nothing wrong with that, right? It's freedom of speech. It's freedom of expression. It's just getting that voice out there. I just don't see why the government needs to be so involved. You know what I mean? Well, I get the privacy stuff. I do. I really do. But isn't that just augmenting rules? Yeah. Like it's so political on that side. I don't mean political like there's political discourse or coordination going on. It's just the policies of just trying to target, another country or whatever. But it is what it is. Like, I guess they feel the need to regulate it they've gone out and they've done it. I think ByteDance came out and said they didn't even care if it got sold or not. They would have just killed it. They would have just let it die in the American marketplace. So
Yeah.
I hope they get it worked out, because there's a lot of people whose livelihoods are, deriving money or fame from their TikTok accounts.
But it'll be,
Yeah.
I'm interested to see how this new deal works and if they change their monetization. I was gonna say scheme, their strategy, based with this new deal. So there's a lot of unknowns still. The purchase has been accepted, whatever that means, by the president. But there's still a lot of loops and holes that they have to go through. I'm sure SEC filings and whatnot, but there's still a lot to go and happen. But the app won't be shut down anytime soon, and you have new American overlords who will be able to do what they want with it. So, because go ahead.
Yeah, on that, because I think it's important to, and on American Overlords, is a great moment to jump in on it. One of the rumors that's making its way around K Street and stuff, to put on the political hat, and I love this is after Phil said, yeah, a lot of people are happy that we're getting away from politics, and like, nope, instantly. But Larry Ellison, the CTO of Oracle and its co-founder, openly supports Trump,
Yep.
has given money to Trump's campaign, has photo ops with Trump.
Yep.
And Trump has been caught allegedly on hot mics saying that he dislikes all these people on TikTok going against him.
Yeah, well, the issue is it all got kicked off from his Tulsa, Oklahoma rally. Apparently, that's the one where nobody showed up and they had to dismantle the stage outside and all that stuff. Never mind that it's during a pandemic or whatever. But the kids on TikTok were using TikTok to buy up and sell information and basically placehold themselves as attending that event. And thus, nobody showed up because those people had no interest in going there. So that angers Trump. What does Trump do? Hey, he's best friends with the Walmart guys. He's best friend with the Oracle guys. Guess what happens? And I think he would have been okay with Microsoft, an American company. It's just that bias is baked in, right?
Yeah. It's a mess. I think it's worth reiterating kind of what Boris and I have said since the first edition of, if you're a content creator, you got to be careful whatever platform you're on, because you don't own the platform and you're always going to be at their mercy.
Yep.
Yeah. Look at
thank you, Amazon.
Yes, thank you, Amazon. Thank you, Spotify. Thank you, Apple Music, Apple Podcasts, etc.
Oh, man.
So, from one mess to another mess, and it's another mess that we talked about earlier this week, and that is PlayStation 5 pre-orders. So, my favorite quote of the week is one sentence, and one sentence only. PS5 pre-orders could have been a lot smoother. No shit, Sherlock. No shit. And this is coming from someone who did get a pre-order in. Myself. And here's the thing that really confused me big time. And that's the fact that seemingly these pages just went live without telling anyone. And you basically have to be one of those people who are always monitoring your email to see, hey, PS5 ready for pre-order now. Get it while it's hot, Technically speaking, the pre-order should have started on the 17th, which is, but technically on the 16th overnight, as we were podcasting, Best Buy, Walmart, Amazon, GameStop, EB Games, etc., all made their PlayStation 5 pre-order page live. And by the time that they were supposed to go live, they were all sold out. So PlayStation put out a quick tweet over the past few days, or just yesterday. And it reads as so. Let's be honest, PS5 pre-orders could have been a lot smoother. We truly apologize for that. Over the next few days, we will release more PlayStation 5 consoles for pre-order. Retailers will share more details, and more PS5s will be available through the end of the year. Now, flip side with that, this is the one time I will be giving Microsoft a lot of kudos, and that's because their pre-order window starts on September 22nd, and my favorite tweet of theirs is pre-order September 22nd, worldwide launch in 36 countries, November 10th, hype 9,000 plus, and then in parentheses it says, don't worry, we'll let you know the exact time pre-orders start for you soon.
I know, right?
But here's the thing,
Look.
Phil, you and I, or the three of us have been talking about this the past few days, because I know both of you have, actually, I know Tyler has attempted a pre-order and that didn't go smooth. Phil, I don't know exactly what you're doing, but here's kind of my take on all of this. If PlayStation 5 and their consoles are all gone, I believe that a lot of people, and you guys can give your opinion on this, I believe that a lot of people inevitably buy both systems, but if they were planning to buy a PlayStation 5 at launch via pre-order and couldn't, they're just going to try an Xbox now. So I feel that the hype of this next-gen console, whether it be Microsoft or Sony, one doing really well and selling out will just benefit the other one in the grand scheme of things. Phil, go ahead.
I think you're right. I can definitely say that I thought about buying the PS5 and just seeing the painful process that it is, and not being the guy that signed up to the email, pre-order with whichever retailer. I just thought, I'll just go get a console when it's out, that type of thing. I'm just going to take a break. I'm not going to buy a PS5 this year. I'll go on record. Maybe I'll buy one. I will buy one next year. The console that I'm thinking about buying would be the Xbox Series X. And this is my reason for it. All of the PS5 titles are going to be available on the PS4. So the new Horizon, the new Miles Morales game, all that stuff can be played on the PS4. All right. So I'm not going to miss out on anything there. There's not a lot of backwards compatibility with the PS5, apparently. They avoid this topic like the plague, and it's where Microsoft jumps in. In the Microsoft world, there are actual benefits to having a Series X and having the older games, because they're going to refresh them with ray tracing and everything else. So I'm going to be able to buy my Cyberpunk 2077. Maybe I'll get it for the Xbox if I do actually get my hands on a console and enjoy the ray tracing and all that kind of stuff. But I'm going to be able to play Horizon 4 with ray tracing because there's a special version coming for that. Gears 5. All of these games that I actually do enjoy playing on the Microsoft platform, it's making way more sense. Microsoft's strategy as a consumer right now for me. I know we make fun of it a lot, but actually seeing the substance of what they're doing and then being able to finance the console, even in Canada, they announced this week that you're going to be able to go to your local EB Games and transition your Xbox Game Pass into a monthly payment for the next 2 years that will pay for your Series X, and you don't have to put a dime down. It's just going to bill right off your, come out and say $40 or whatever the amount is each month for the next 2 years, and you're walking out with a brand new console, which I think is a fantastic strategy. And it's good for EB Games. I noticed that my local Microplay, they haven't even done, to their credit, they haven't even done any pre-orders for the PS5. They announced that they're so screwed on stock that they're having a lottery to see if you can win a lottery to get a ticket to buy one of the 5 different packages that they're going to have available. So it's just a circus. I'm not participating in it because they're going to end up, well, now you have to buy that model. You're going to get the discless model, but you're going to have to buy it with 2 controllers, a headset, and a camera. You know what I mean? They're going to force me into bundles, and screw that. As a customer, I just want my console and my controller, and I'll go and let the console speak for itself. I'll buy that shit for sure, but I want to buy it one at a time or when I want to. Tyler, you have any thoughts on all this?
Yeah, I mean, so I wanted to get a point of clarification because I haven't seen this. So is the reverse compatibility, backwards compatibility with the Xbox X that you can use an old disc and just put it in?
Well, I think Microsoft get into a dodgy game here because they promised on the Xbox One that you could do that, and you can in fact put the disc in. However, the game has to be Microsoft has to have a translation for the game. It downloads it off the internet. It downloads it through their service, and then you can play that 360 game on your console. So it's rather pick and choose, and that took like 5 years for Microsoft to activate that library. So I don't know what exactly is coming out of the box with the Series X, like if there's going to be hooks like that. But I do know that certain titles will be ready day one with a 4K or 8K version.
Okay. So
because the Series X right now apparently can outperform the Series. This is where it gets really tricky, guys. Okay, the Series S does worse performance-wise than the Xbox One X did. So they're really muddying the waters with this S. And as well, there's a lot of grumbling out there in the world that due to the lower RAM size in the S series, it's going to cripple game development for the X series because now they have to develop for both consoles, which means that they're going to have to be mindful of the fact that that lower RAM exists and the architecture that's in there might be different than the Series X, and they're not allowed to brand the game Series X only, stuff like that. It's gonna hurt Microsoft a little bit on that front once people get their hands on consoles and start complaining.
Yeah, I think that's gonna be a major concern, and I'm looking, and they're saying 607 games from the history of across all Xbox is the backward compatible game library right now. It is, to the Xbox's credit, they are saying that you can keep your game saves, add-ons, achievements, and gamer score. So conceivably, if I can track down my information from my Xbox Live, I could actually get a bunch of my stuff back, which would be nice and neat. I would appreciate that a lot. For Sony's point of view, like, everyone's reporting that it was largely bots that made things 100 times worse. Mm-hmm. Walmart, I think, I'm surprised this didn't get on Walmart more, because Walmart's tweet announcing it was for sale was literally like, "Oh yeah, that's not us. Go pre-order it now." And it's just like, what is happening here? And I feel like in a normal year, if it wasn't COVID and like legal cases weren't going to take a bajillion times longer than normal, I would not be surprised if Sony would have, in a normal year, sued over this, right?
Yeah.
Because you're breaking release dates. And I mean, from Sony's point of view, they've got to be very frustrated. This piecemeal made it easier for bots because people can program and get them ready to go, and account for these layered rollouts, because it was de facto, it was layered rollout across multiple people because they all had different specific time releases. They are saying more PS5s out by the end of the year. My local store has not taken up pre-orders yet, so who's to say? Who's to say? It's also worth noting that Amazon has sent a bunch of people emails saying that, hey, even if we let you pre-order the PS5 on Amazon, we can't guarantee you're getting one opening week.
Yeah, I read that.
So, like, I guess pre-orders don't mean anything anymore?
No. It means that, hey, you bought it from us, and we'll send it when you get it, or you'll get it when you get it.
Yeah.
It's like the old Seinfeld bit. You don't understand what a reservation is.
I was just thinking that.
Keep the reservation.
But you
Oh,
don't
man.
keep the reservation.
Yeah,
Sure.
I just don't want to play in this anymore. Like, I really don't. The more I see how retailers are acting, the more I see, and that's not a slam on Microplay or anybody else who's trying to come up with new, different ways, but they're basically pressure tactics to get you to buy a bunch of stuff you don't want to buy, which is already always through the roof on a console launch. They want you to buy a lot of crap. They want the games. They want the markup because they're a low markup item, especially, you know, when they're this fresh and this hot.
Yeah.
It's margins are tight. I get it. But I don't want to play that game anymore. I really don't. Like, I've got, you know, it's 7 years old, but I've got a PS4 that does pretty well. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, I don't feel, and here's the thing too. It's not like graphics are going to be hugely better. It's going to be stuff like the ray tracing and the puddles and the mirrored surfaces and stuff like that. That's real time rendering. I don't know. Like, I'm just like, I'll definitely get it. There's going to be the minute I see it, I'm going to want it. But I'm just trying to cool the hype train down for myself, I guess.
Yep.
Yeah, I hear ya.
I get it.
I'm gonna try for my local place, and if I don't get it, I'm still to keep an eye out. But I will then transition to your camp. I really want one at launch because in a time of financial difficulty, I had to liquidate. I had to sell my 360, my PS3, and my Wii U, and my television, and some other stuff a few years back.
Ugh.
And I finally, like, my finances are good enough that I was ready now. I was like, oh yeah, I've set the money aside. I'm ready. And I had, yeah.
Yeah.
Here we go.
I get it. It's fun. It is a fun time. It is intoxicating. I remember the feeling. When I was driving back from the mall this morning, I remember when I had my PS2 and I bought it at EB Games up in the mall.
Oh.
And I just remember, like, it was sitting in the car seat beside me and looking at the beautiful box and the blue and all that stuff, just so eager to get it home and open it up. And it had just rained outside and I was driving and I drove through a puddle and the puddle splashed up and nailed this guy who had his window down.
Oh!
And his girlfriend, and they were all soaked, and he's like pissed at me, and I'm like, I wasn't even paying attention. I'm like making googly eyes to my PS2 sitting here in the seat, like,
You're
so
like,
exciting.
Don't worry about you. I gotta make it with my PS2 box.
Yeah,
Amazing.
but it's the hype is real. The hype is real, and it went off the rails this week.
Yeah, it was crazy.
Well,
Like Wednesday, Thursday was
it's-
just insane.
Yeah, it's also it's the bots and the scalpers, right? Because there's
Yeah.
so many already up on eBay.
Yeah, the same thing happened with the Switch too, right? Like, I think
True.
I saw something where Walmart was like advertising that they had the Switch in stock and they're selling it for $700 or something.
Sure.
Like, I'm just like, I thought this shit wasn't allowed, like,
Well-
to be doing that,
Remember,
especially from a retailer.
Walmart's website runs the same way Amazon does, where it's not necessarily Walmart being the vendor. So it's third party who Walmart doesn't regulate, they don't moderate, they don't see what they're doing unless you report them. So, it's, I'm not trying to forgive Walmart, but I'm just saying it's not Walmart the one who's raising the price.
Yeah,
to
it's
insane
not.
amounts.
It's not a good look for a corporation.
No, it's not.
believe me.
God, oh no. It's not good. It doesn't look good. The optics of it, like, I get it, I understand it, I understand what's happening behind the scenes. But you log on Walmart.com.ca whatever, and you see that something that should be selling for $300 is selling for $700. You're like, fuck you. What the fuck?
Yeah. Like, I it's down to the point now where for online stuff, I'm either going to look at Amazon and I pretty much have it filtered that it's only going to be Prime or stuff that's locally warehoused in most cases.
You can do that.
Or you can go through and tune it. But as well, like, my relationship with Walmart is I walk to store does store have it, I buy. Like, I'm not playing around with these games anymore with these app trackers and all that crap. Like, I don't like what these companies are doing. Best Buy does the same thing. They have all these different like marketplace sellers and stuff. And I'm like, it's just weird. It just feels sketch. It's like going to a garage sale at a Best Buy.
Oh, 100%.
Yep.
I don't like it at all as a consumer. Ugh.
Yep. We got a few more things to talk about. So we're going to jump into movies. We're going to jump into the ever delaying schedule of movies. So last week, Phil, Tyler were talking about Wonder Woman. Earlier this week, Black Widow is going to be delayed from its November timeframe to who knows when. There is some rumor that it will be moving into December. I personally don't think it will, because you have Wonder Woman 1984 already in December. You have Dune already in December. So I do not think that they're going to want to put 3 major blockbusters all in the same few weeks, especially when you consider that the last 2 weekends of December are typically blacked out because of Christmas and vacations and holidays and yada, 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 yada. So I can see Black Widow being moved out to next year. Variety is also reporting that the upcoming Pixar release Soul was going to be released theatrically. There are now rumors that it's going to be moved to Disney Plus, but Disney is refuting the rumors. But they did say that it's unlikely to be released on the currently scheduled date of November 20th.
I can see, like, this whole Black Widow thing has got to be hurting the Marvel brand as far as the shows, as far as future movies. It's got to be crippling. I can see Disney making the play, and it's being speculated out there on the internet that the Black Widow will be a Disney Plus as well.
Yeah.
Just to get things going. Like, and they might pull this $30 shit again. And if they do, they're going to get my money on that one.
Yeah.
That one's a no-brainer. Like, I'll want to buy into that hype. I want to see what's going on. And apparently they are thrilled to crap about Mulan and the performance that it's doing.
Well, that's their saying.
Yeah, this is their spin. I agree, but they're basically touting the line that this is a viable thing in these pandemic times for these movies. And they took a low performer like Mulan, and they're pitting it against New Mutants, and they're looking at numbers, and they're going, Mulan's just running away with it for them. What happens if we do a real movie like Black Widow that has demand?
Yep.
Right? That has a huge fan base. And it's in the can. The other problem is that they're losing money because, like, let's face it, like, Disney doesn't just sit there, even though I know I just gave them a whole bunch of money, but they don't sit on a mountain of cash. They diversify their funds. They have debts. They have, all this stuff. They have to finance these films. The longer they sit on these films, the more that those finance costs build up too, because they have to pay people to pay them to get the budget together to put $200-300 million towards the movie. So they're making payments on money that isn't being made for them.
Yep.
So they need to get these things out, like, and that's every studio, right? Like, all these movies are financed.
Yeah. So what's interesting is the whole MCU. I think 2020 right now, we are at a point where if Black Widow were to be delayed one more time, then 2020 will have 0 entries into the MCU. Having said that, I believe that earlier in the week, Disney said that WandaVision will for sure be coming out by the end of 2020. So we'll see what happens with that. And that show looks very interesting. And that's the TV show that's going to be on Disney Plus. Sticking with Disney Plus MCU news, Falcon and Winter Soldier is now officially in production. We have been getting some early pictures and leaks of the set. So that is going forward. Disney Plus has also cast She-Hulk, and that is Orphan Black star Tatiana Maslany. So that's a really cool thing. Go Canada, go Toronto.
Mm-hmm.
So that's kind of cool. The internet has been fairly happy, which I'm shocked on.
Whoa.
Yeah. I mean, I think they're too busy with cuties.
Yeah.
I-
We're not, anyways, not even going near that one.
No.
Yep,
Keep moving.
getting out before
Next
we get
topic.
in. So back to movies. After coronavirus scare, the Batman has resumed production. So star Robert Pattinson has reportedly bounced back from COVID-19, and Warner Brothers has confirmed to Variety that the Batman has fully resumed production. Work on the superhero movie had ground to a standstill earlier this month after recent reports that star Robert Pattinson tested for COVID-19. I'm not going to make any bat jokes right now, but here we are. And they're back in production, so that's really good. The Batman is still expected to be released October 1st, 2021, with 2 planned sequels and a spin-off prequel series on HBO Max. So we'll see what
Already?
happens.
It's
Sorry?
not even out yet.
I know. Well,
Just what if it's a stinker?
it is what it is, man.
There's a boardroom that says it isn't, man.
Yeah.
We get to see Bruce Wayne's parents get killed again in
No,
its
we
show on HBO
No, we
Max.
won't. We won't see it. The HBO Max show is basically Batman's year 1. The Batman movie is year 2. We're not, like they've said so many times that we're not going to revisit the origin story with this new series.
I hope.
It's sure you're saying that, but I'm willing to bet we're gonna be sitting in damp, moist theaters, being like, "God damn it! Why am I watching the Waynes get gunned down again?"
Yep.
Oh man.
Sticking with Batman, seeing the Waynes being shot, they have gone as far as to say, and this is something that we've been saying for years, that the Flash standalone movie, The Flashpoint, is essentially going to redo the entire DC extended universe.
Cool.
If at first you don't succeed, reboot it until you do.
Yep.
Yeah.
Speaking of reboots, and I know this is something that we haven't talked about, but it's something that came up, and that's another movie that's going to get the director cut treatment with the new ending, with the new canon, and that's The Godfather Part 3.
Ugh.
No,
And it has
just let
also
it
been
die.
confirmed by Variety that The Godfather Part 3 new edit, complete with different ending, will be released in a dank and moist theater near you.
Counter proposal. Let it die. Kill it if you have to.
I don't get this. That
So,
world
the
is
movie-
weird, man. I feel old.
The movie Godfather 3 has now been retitled Mario Puzo's The Godfather Coda: The Death of Michael Corleone.
Oh
Spoiler
my god!
alert.
And it has multiple subtitles.
Yep. Yep.
Oh man.
So this achieves the original vision that Coppola and screenwriter Mario Puzo had for the movie.
Hey, you know what? I guess there's a passionate fan base out there that would want to see it. If that's what their turns are cranked, then go for it. I've got that bad flavor in my mouth with as we always discuss with the Schneider cut and all this stuff, and this just plays into that. I don't think it's a great idea, but I don't know. Maybe there's some, I know there's a lot of diehard Godfather fans out there. Good for them if that's what they enjoy. It might be a great way to revisit it and I don't know. It's not my cup of tea. I think it's just at that point, it's of that age that you just let it be. You let it rest.
Yep. All right. And last but not least, I wanted to talk about Netflix's, I guess, hidden gem that they got from YouTube, Cobra Kai. This show I watched back when it was originally released, and I loved every second of it. Anyone who would listen, I told to go watch. And people are finally listening that it's a lot more accessible. Cobra Kai follows, the Karate Kid, and it's almost a spoof within itself. It just reeks of 80s nostalgia. And the first 2 seasons are currently on Netflix. Cobra Kai Season 3 arrives sometime in 2021. Have you guys watched this?
You know what? I actually did kind of catch the hype train on this one. I started watching the first episode, and then I went out, and I haven't watched the original movie in well over 30 years. All right. Like maybe, I don't know, since it was probably in the theater was the last time I saw it. So I've forgotten almost everything except for those iconic little meme moments, wax on, wax off, that kind of crap.
Yeah.
I went back and I watched it this week because it was on Netflix as well. And the soundtrack's on point. It's actually kind of funny. Some of the things I found it to be a really interesting watch. It was a much better movie than I remembered, and it ends really abruptly.
Yeah.
That ending is just, and boom.
Yeah, like a lot of
Daniel
80s
San
movies.
kicks him. Done.
Yeah. Yep.
So it was interesting just watching that movie, watching how it plays out, watching the characters. I found it was very touching. And then I went and I watched some more Cobra Kai, and it started getting a little too Karate Kid in my head. And I'm taking a break from it right now, but I can see the appeal. I know where it's going. It's not hard to figure out where these types of things go. It's the same problem that I had with Riverdale. It's just the dramatic end of it just starts to get grating for me. I'm just, oh, I don't have my car, and now it's at Ralph Machacho's place getting fixed up, and oh man, that guy, he's got everything and I got nothing, and I'm just like, come on, like, it's a lot, man. Tyler, are you watching this?
I hate it so much. I hate it so much. I am the first to admit it is unreasonable how much I hate that show, and I don't even have a really good reason. I first got exposed to it by the marketing, and I don't know if you guys remember the marketing when it first came out, but it was like, oh yeah, this is for real men, not the piddly little like wannabes from nowadays. Guitar riff. That's what the marketing was. It was like, men today are too weak and soft, and I'm like, oh my god. And I watched half of the first episode, and I couldn't even do it. Maybe it gets better. Sure. I'm fine. But I hated it so much.
Yep.
I can't do it.
All right.
But like, am I wrong, Boris? Was that not the original marketing?
No, you were.
Was like...
It was a Doritos Mountain Dew commercial.
It was.
Oh man.
Yep.
I don't know. Have you guys been watching Raised by Wolves? I know Tyler and I talked about it a little bit.
Yeah, it's heavy. I can't watch too much at once.
Yeah. I can only watch like
It's
one episode at a time, thankfully. But
I've been watching them as they release them, so I'm getting like a Friday night is 2 episodes for me, and I'm really catching the drift of it. I'm enjoying what I'm seeing. It's weird though.
Yep.
Definitely weird. I'm more so fascinated as a fan of Ridley Scott about the interlinking of the timelines. I'd love to have a big picture because apparently Blade Runner is set in the Alien timeline, as well as Aliens, obviously, and now this is obviously hugely implicated into there. Like we're talking a huge span, but I just love the artificial theme, the Android theme. I love what they're doing with it. I love that it's kind of like gloves off, and Ridley Scott's. It looks like he's getting to do what he wants to do
Yep.
instead of doing what other people want him to do.
Yep. Phil, how are you up to date with Ted Lasso?
I'm not up to date yet. I missed the last 2 episodes.
Okay, so those are the last
I'm looking forward to it.
Last 2 episodes of the season. So Ted Lasso, original Apple TV Plus TV show about your average American coach who goes to England and becomes a skipper of an English Premiership team that's on the verge of relegation. And essentially, it's Major League, the movie Major League, about the Cleveland Indians, but with footy instead of baseball.
Yeah, and there was. Do you guys remember? What was it? Fever Pitch.
Yeah.
Drew Barrymore.
Yeah.
There was that was based off of a movie in England called Pitch Fever.
Yeah.
Which was all about a guy and his relationship to footy.
Yep.
And whatnot. Like it was a literal translation into American culture. I get that vibe from Ted Lasso too. It's going the other way. I like it. It's funny. It's great to throw on, have a beer, have a pop, and mindless humor, but really intelligently written. It's got that soft spot. I don't know. I'm getting old. Tyler, are you watching any of that? The Ted Lasso?
I don't know what you're talking about.
Exactly.
I don't even know what. Like, I'm just like, oh, they're saying words.
Oh, here's the thing, right? This Jason Sudeikis, right? He's a great actor.
Sure.
He's the guy who punched his baby Yoda in The Mandalorian in the Stormtrooper outfit. And it was funny because I saw him on Conan, or one of the night shows, the talk shows, and he related the story that he totally forgot because they had filmed it so long ago. It slipped his mind. It was such a great experience. He got to play a Stormtrooper. They said, yeah, punch his bag, Yeah, it was really funny. And then this cultural phenomenon of Baby Yoda, and then his social media blows up one day. And he's just like, what the heck's going on? And everybody's like attacking Jason Sudeikis for punching Baby Yoda.
You would think he
And he's
punched the
like,
real baby.
Holy crap. I just thought it was funny. It just seems so him. It just seems so on brand.
Exactly. All right, Phil. It's that time of the show. How about you tell all of our awesome listeners how they could get a hold of us if they so wish to?
Hey, you can find us at www.itscanonpodcast.com. You can find us on Instagram, Twitter, Facebook at It's Canon Podcast. You can email us at show@itscanonpodcast.com. You can subscribe via Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Stitcher, Google Play, really anywhere you find podcasts, you're going to find us. Hopefully soon on Amazon. It's coming to Canada, believe me. So if you like what you hear, make sure that you smash the subscribe button. And the show's not possible without listeners like you. So please get in touch with us. Lend us your ears. Give us what's going on in your geek universe, and we will talk about it.
That's exactly it, because this is the It's Canon Podcast, the podcast where we talk about all things video games, all things comics, all things movies, all things toys, all things books, all things TV, all things everything. And the best part of it all is that it's all in canon. I'm Boris. He's Phil. The other guy's Tyler. Goodbye. Another week done.